Parents are the forerunners of the future. Developmental psychology highlights the importance and the effects of parenting styles on children's development. It all began in the early 1960s when psychologist Diana Baumrind began her study on more than 100 preschool-aged children under naturalistic observation and interviews with parents, and ended up finding different dimensions of parenting. She discovered disciplinary strategies, warmth and nurturing, communication styles, and expectations of maturity and control. Out of these, she suggested 3 different parenting styles. However, Macoby and Martin further researched Baumrind's ideas and added a 4th style. The 4 we know today include authoritarian, authoritative, permissive, and uninvolved parenting, which I will dive into today. To start off, authoritarian parenting is where children are required to follow a strict set of rules by their parents. If they don't follow those rules accordingly, they are punished. The parents don't bother to explain why they put these rules in place. And if children pose questions as to why they have rules or are being punished, parents will respond with, "Because I said so." Their parents tend to expect good behavior but aren't willing to be responsive to their children. Next, authoritative parenting similarly creates rules for their children and expects them to follow them, but differs from authoritarian because it is more democratic. The parents are aware of what their children need and are willing to listen to their questions. If children don't meet their parents' expectations, the parents use an approach of being more forgiving instead of punishing straight away. Additionally, permissive parenting is typically called indulgent parenting, where parents lack rules and make few requests of their children. The parents rarely give their children any discipline because they pay no attention to the necessity of maturity and self-control. Although these parents tend to be nurturing and warm, they take on the title of a friend compared to a parent, which is essential to make their children aware of discipline. Lastly, the uninvolved parenting style is parents who aren't very responsive whatsoever and lack communication with their children. The parents can assist in the basic needs of their children, but don't form a bond with them. In some cases, parents might even refuse to acknowledge their kids' presence or neglect them completely. Now, the question is, what are the effects of these parenting styles? Researchers have found that authoritarian parents produce children who are obedient, but are likely unhappy and have low self-esteem. Authoritative parents create the most positive outcomes in children, where they are more likely to be happy, capable, and successful in life. Permissive parenting produces children who lack self-esteem and have lower rates of happiness. Since they grow up with no sets of rules, they can't face authority brought upon themselves and don't perform well in school. Uninvolved parents are known to have the worst impact on their children because they have no self-control, a lack of self-esteem, and are less capable. My mom chose to utilize an authoritative parenting style throughout my and my sister's upbringings. She uses rules and guidelines that we are expected to follow, is responsive to me, and is willing to listen to what I say. Although, as I'm starting to get older, she has started to implement a bit of authoritarian parenting style. She doesn't implement strict rules, but sometimes whenever I try to say anything that goes against what she says, I get shut down. This doesn't consistently happen, but I've started to recognize it more as I am getting older. Although authoritative parenting can't be classified as the best style of parenting, I feel like authoritative parenting was the best style in my situation because it brought great results to my mom and me. This style has made me happy and independent, have good self-control, social skills, a positive attitude, and good self-esteem, and have higher academic success. I notice that my mom is nurturing, willing to listen to me, and encourages me to always be open with her, makes rules clear, enforces boundaries, uses discipline, and earns my respect. For example, when I was younger, my mom communicated with me that I was not allowed to stay over at a friend's house unless she knew the parents. However, there was this one time I wanted to sleep over at a friend's house, and she didn't know the parents, but she let me go anyway because I told her that I would give her their phone number so they could communicate. This allowed the both of us to meet in the middle. Another example is when I was in middle school and got a C for the very first time on my test. Although my mom expected good grades for me, she wasn't upset with me and instead decided to help me figure out a way to solve the problem. This parenting style helps shape me and my development because I don't feel like she's constantly barking strict rules at me. I always have a say in anything and I can ask questions. This also strengthens my relationship with her because I can always communicate the way I feel about something, whether it is good or bad, without feeling nervous or scared. I believe her parenting style has shaped me to be more mature and understanding. When I become a parent, I want to utilize the same parenting style because I want to have an ideal relationship with my child. I want them to feel comfortable, ask questions, and not be afraid to tell me how they are feeling. I don't want my kids to step all over me, like a permissive parent. And I don't want to be authoritarian because I want them to trust me, be confident, and not feel like if I say it, you have to do it with no reasoning behind it. I do enforce rules with my younger cousins, my nephew, and through babysitting, but I am always willing to listen to what their needs may be. My older sister uses an authoritative parenting style, so I like to utilize the same style while babysitting her son to be more consistent. Younger kids do like to start being more independent, but there is always room for rules and boundaries. For example, when I was babysitting him once, he started throwing a tantrum because he didn't want to go to bed at the time that his mom told me she wanted him to. I decided that instead of yelling at him and forcing him to go to bed without any reasoning, I told him that we could stay up for 10 more minutes and then read a bedtime story before going to bed. He ended up liking that idea and eventually did go to bed. We were able to avoid more conflict and tears by offering to do something that he liked and trying to get the outcome I wanted at the end of the day. Out of all the parenting styles, authoritative is a useful style because parents are nurturing, forgiving, assertive, supportive, and cooperative and want their children to be more responsive, happier, capable, and successful in life. However, finding cause and effect relationships between some actions of parents and the behavior of their children can't be definitive and is foggy in this field of study, but it can be based on correlational research. Children who are raised in different environments can grow up to have similar personalities to their parents, but others may grow up to have a different one. All in all, each parenting style can contribute to the unique design of a child's growth by laying down the foundational work for the adults they will become in the future.